Hi there, I'm Ahsan Ali, A Shaw, and you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. If you can hear me well, then give me a thumbs up or any comment because I've been having tech issues today and I try to solve them, but it is happening. So your feedback right now uh, would be very helpful. Anyone? Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm good. Okay. Today we are going to talk about consistency is the key to happiness and success in life, and change is inevitable, and change is the only constant in life. And the two statements, change is the only constant in life, and consistency is the key. The two statements may seem irrelevant, but they both are very interrelated and interconnected with each other. When I say change, change is something that is happening right now. I'm talking to you and you're watching me and we are being connected through an online connection. And every second we are entering into the future. The change is happening. The process is slow. Now the question is change happening the way you want it, or change it is just a change. It could be positive or negative. It is always happening. Now, if you want the change the way you want it, then it requires a lot of patience and consistency. Now, the question is why consistency? The reason is consistency develops your mindset, your habits, and the habit becomes your attitude, and attitude makes you, forces you to take repetitive actions, and those repetitive actions leads you towards the change that you wanted. And to discuss this topic in detail, my guest is Adrian Sortino. He is the peace architect, a great man, and he has joined us from Footscray, Victoria, Australia. And there he is. Hey there.
How are we? How are we? We're
I'm,
finally here.
I'm, yeah, we are finally here. Can you see me and can you hear me well?
Perfectly. Absolutely
Okay.
perfectly. The technical
So,
issues that we had a half an hour or 40 minutes ago are completely gone. That's okay.
yeah, thanks
Everything's
God,
cool.
yeah. Thanks to Lord or whatever that power is that is brought us together. So, Edwin, I'm not going to talk about an abstract talk. Let's talk about my life. Okay, for the past 5 years, I started my online business in 2019 and freelancing online business in 2019. And I finished my graduation, my MBA in 2015. There was a period of 4 years that I was struggling and I was being rejected hundreds of times and I was failing, I was being knocked down, and it was happening over and over again. And I can see that now, but while I was going through it, and I never liked it, and but I was learning it. The period of struggle, it was reshaping me, it was polishing me towards something that I am here today. The thing that I have always had is that I never accepted anything that was not up to my standard. So how do you see change and consistency?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty broad, but congratulations on your MBA and everything like that. And
Mm-hmm.
the 4 years of struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, I want to say thanks to Jackie. This is so cozy warm. Today's 13 degrees here. I've got the fire going on. And
Mm-hmm.
Jackie, the beautiful Jackie Hopkins,
Mm-hmm.
um, put this into made it, which is Jackie McGrath, Jackie Hopkins.
Yes.
Made
The
it, sent
one,
it down. So
our guest from the
yes,
table talk. Yes. Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Um, so consistency and change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Change is every breath that you take.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency is whether or not you're going to decide that it is the breath of refreshing element or it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
in that turmoil. So, like as you were in that 4 year period, the
Mm-hmm.
rejection. that comes
Mhm.
forward, the applications, the consistency of
Mhm.
rejection.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yes.
you're stepping outside of yourself consistently because you are trying to achieve something that was their design. And
Mhm.
the awakening, the waking up of each individual person is
Mhm.
is magnificent. And that 4 years that you had to go through that, Asan,
Mhm.
is magnificent.
Mhm.
Okay, because it gave you the experience through the journey to justify the change that you knew that you were able to accomplish within yourself.
Mhm. So it was the
Simplifying it. Yep.
process. Yeah, it was the process that was reshaping me. And we don't like it while going through it. But when we reach at the destination, as the destination or whatever we want to achieve, but whatever we want to, for instance, a singer want to be on the Broadway, or a politician want to become, or you are just like your journey of the peace architect. And while you are going through it, you are going through the different phases. You don't like the many hurdles and the things, but they are part of it. They are teaching you something, that the things that you could have never learned through any other way. That the only way we can learn it is by doing it.
Well, yeah, doing it, but experiencing it. We're all doing it
Mhm.
every day. Every day of this life that we carry, we are doing it in the form of
Mhm.
consistency and change.
Mhm. Mhm.
But are we controlling it?
Mhm.
Are we
Yes.
controlling it at all? The journey is a gift. The journey is
Mhm.
the gift. Yes, it is.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we have we have to break away from the routine for a moment, just one moment,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
establish what message we carry and then step within the truth.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be so harsh to change the equation.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything's mathematical, as they say. So if you
Mhm.
break yourself down to numbers, are you
Mhm.
consistently going up, or are you progressively just being in the 0 1 0 1 0 1 function? Are you going to the 2, to the 3, to the 4 to experience it all? Or are you limited by the parameters of where you have been landed, where you have been placed? Okay, because we have all gone through our own journey. And if we're talking about consistency as well as change, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Because with every breath, it's consistent. With every breath, there is change. So when we start to pull things apart, we can then bring them back to the capacity of understanding
Mhm.
that everything is irrelevant at this point in time. Every negotiation of conversation is a
Mhm.
contradiction as to what we should really be doing. And that is
Mhm.
stepping within, which we have all found. And we have all been given that opportunity and gift as we recognize it,
Mhm.
to then take it to that pathway that it is the least of resistance, because you've
Mhm.
seen all the resistance that you've walked from.
Mhm.
Changing you is ultimately changing the world. It is changing the
Yes.
planet. So if everybody
Yes.
considers their actions in change with the consistency of truth, wow, wow, Hassan, the world is a magnificent place.
Yes, indeed. And consistency, or we can say change, is the only constant in life.
This is correct. This is correct. The only constant, and as we
Mhm.
attach change to the only constant,
Mhm.
therefore being consistent,
Mhm.
we then establish that breath is exactly the same.
Mhm.
And the more that we consciously breathe rather than just taking it for granted,
Mhm.
we start to drain that proverbial swamp of a
Mhm.
mind to establish the centering of where we need to be.
Mhm. So it
And
means
change and
life.
consistency. Sorry,
Mhm.
sir.
It means life is a journey, and we are just going through various phases. And while going through it, we don't
Let's
realize
not
it.
use let's not use phases. Let's not use
Mhm.
phases.
Mhm.
Okay?
So.
Because a phase is something that is just like a fad. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that's not controllable. It's not consistent because we are not giving it the respect of what it is within our journey. Everything that we do in every breath that we take, it is an opportunity to change in the truest pathway of your design. So any phase that you go through is a
Mm-hmm.
moment that you're deciding or you're neglecting that very element. Yeah.
So
So
what's the word we use for our
a
life?
moment, deconstructing the narrative to control every element of it. Yeah. I like the word phase. I like the word fad, but they're all
Mm-hmm.
precursor. They're all before where we arrive now because we
Mm-hmm.
control the moment of time in which we uniquely carry, if that
So
is what
the
we're
moment,
doing.
if we are using the word moment, then the moment is gone, then the new moment comes in.
But a moment that you're adding an old to a new, you can be consistently in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it's every breath that you take.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it is governed by the principle of your connection,
Mm-hmm.
your soul connection with
Mm-hmm.
where we are and what we have
Mm-hmm.
above us. That is the
Mm-hmm.
rationale in which we need to establish within us. Because there's many people, I heard it about the ascensions and everything like that that's talking about, and I've spoken about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to consistently think of that, you're doing a change. But is it
Mm-hmm.
consistently in the gamut of where you find yourself? Or are you pre sending something that is years away? Because nobody gets to change to that dynamic physically until the rest of the world is on the same consistent form of change.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that we get caught up in because we're excited about what is happening. But
Mm-hmm.
in the centering of ourselves, we would not even have half of these conversations because they wouldn't be considered of value anymore.
Mm-hmm. So
Because
it means it also implies the fact that the change which is happening right now with every moment, then it is adding a value in our life.
well, um, a value. No, I wouldn't say a value. I would say a confirming, because
Mm-hmm.
those that are actually a confirmation. I think it would be because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those people that are in this space now, that are
Mm-hmm.
going through this extraordinary journey and actually amplifying their very presence with those that are around.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I would say it's a confirmation of why we are doing this firstly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we have to allocate patience to it because we see the truth now that it is
Mm-hmm.
being confirmed in our own
Mm-hmm.
experience, in our own well-being, and in our
Mm-hmm.
own presence as we
Mm-hmm.
arrive in different circumstances.
We have a very good comment here. We are creator beings and we must manifest and create the world we want by changing what we focus on. It is very
That's exactly right.
interesting that
Exactly.
you become what you think. So
Hmm.
mm, yes, you can change your life just focusing your perspective.
Yeah. Well, your perspective,
Mhm,
your perception, your
mhm.
perception.
Perception. Mhm.
Yeah, perspective is the same, but in
Mhm.
the form of perception, we have to
Perception is
valid
different.
we have to validate
Mhm,
what we are.
mhm,
Seriously, we have to comprehend within our own moment of silence
mhm,
what we one are doing to ourselves in a reflection, two, considering what we are doing unto others, and then three, blending them together so the duality is not there as a consistent anymore. It is now a consistent of oneness because you've actually decided to make the change. It's like I'm a half-wit. I'm speaking openly now. In the rest of the storyline of the last 47 years, and I'm 47, so 3 years, 3.5 years I've been doing this. I was oblivious to all of it. And I was only changing what I had to achieve what I thought I needed to accomplish. And I consistently did that. But it was to
Mhm.
my error, my failings, because I never fitted into that mold. Now, I believe that there are a lot of people that can have that consistent thought in a
Mhm.
feeling as they hear this. So, in that deciphering of what we are, we've
Mhm.
already acknowledged through our journey the separation of where we are now. We've just
Mhm.
completely separated from the existence of their reality to comprehend what this reality is.
Mhm.
So, that whole journey, as you said,
Mhm.
that whole value, that is the value that you are
Mhm.
able to experience that in a negotiation of that moment that you've carried with yourself to justify you. Nobody else has to be justified. It is only the actions of you that commit to the change consistently that you produce.
Mhm. You are bringing your wisdom, not the education. It's a very good comment. And
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. Who is that? It says Facebook
Uh,
user. Who is that?
yeah, Facebook. I don't know. I think it's from the group, and if it was on my
Okay.
timeline, then I would have received the name. I would have see
Okay.
the name.
We'll work
Mhm.
that out. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to have a guess. I'm going to have a guess, but I'm not going to say who it is. I'll guess in my own
Okay.
space.
Okay. Okay.
I love
And
these. I
now,
love these opportunities, Hassan. I love these
mhm,
opportunities to talk
mhm,
on relevance from that business
mhm,
world. So
mhm.
thank you, sir.
Oh, it's call it.
Oh, it's
Uh,
Colette. Oh, beautiful. There you
Colette.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we are changing the world, and we are changing the world through our perception and through the lenses of perception. And when we say perception, when we talk about perception, perception also plays a very important, a very significant role in our lives while changing it. When we talk about change and perception, the role of perception, consistency, and many other factors they come along with it. We can change the world, we can change the world through the by changing the lenses of our perception.
Oh, there's a little bit of ash that flew into there. That was nice. That was very mystical. Ah, yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. Change the lenses in how we see life. Yes.
mhm, mhm,
Um, that's why you would see on the Facebook feeds, it's a lot of the nature of what we
mhm,
like, what is around, the beauty that is there
mhm,
consistently,
mhm,
even though there is change.
mhm,
They are still there in the perception of what we see them as. They are still
mhm,
existing. So
mhm,
stepping outside of the forest to see the tree that you are, we've all heard this. You
mhm,
then become that element that is attractive to all of those nature, all of that
mhm,
nature and fauna. You see it in a different place, and the creator element in which we are is most advantageous for us to be carrying now, because
mhm,
it promotes the worthiness in which we've seeked through a whole life,
mhm.
the exception or the accepting of being part of something.
Mhm.
And
Speaking of speaking of accepting, and it is very important also here to add this the element of acceptance. And could we accept if for instance if I'm talking about my life, if I had accepted anything that was not up to my standard during the 4 years of struggle, then I would have never be here. I would have now never started my online business. And the reason I started it is because I never accepted anything that was less than or that was not up to my standard. So acceptance is also very important, that you should never accept anything that is not to your standard or to your whatever your goal is.
wow,
Mhm,
wow, that's marvelous that you've been able to accomplish that in this lifetime.
mhm,
I've been screwed in the ass a lot of
mhm,
times by
mhm,
stepping into places because I had to perform in those places. And when I say
mhm,
perform, it was only that of the work that I had to do, that
mhm,
I was being
mhm,
actually
mhm,
um, ruined by those participants. So
mhm,
for you to not being able to accept, or for you having accepting nothing less than what you would create, that is
mhm,
perfect. That is
mhm.
perfect, Asan. because
because
I was never able to accomplish that. And I know a lot of people. That's why mental health is
Mhm,
is so great across this planet,
mhm,
because they can actually create the infragility of self by
mhm,
diagnosing things that they can just give medication
mhm,
to.
mhm,
Yeah, and that's a complete separation of existence of identity.
mhm. I
And
think I think if I had the process, it is easier to say. I must add that it is easier to say that not to accept the change. But when you talk about 4 years or 5 years, or many people have 10 years of the process of struggle when they are going through it, and I had the 4 years, and it was very difficult, and I could have fallen any time, and there were circumstances that that was pushing me to the limits, but I never accepted it because yes, in simple words, it was very difficult for me even to travel to when we talk about the struggle period, also talk about the financial struggle. And it was very tough for me. And I had the most difficult days, but I have gone through it. I never accepted anything that was less than me. So it brought me here. But I'm not
oh,
gonna
okay. When
say,
you're saying it like that,
mm,
then yeah,
mhm,
you're in the same boat as all of us.
mhm,
I thought you
mhm,
meant that through your whole life you've been given
mhm,
opportunity, and if it wasn't to
mhm,
your standard, you would have said, "Oh, no,
mhm,
no, no, go away."
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
Um.
mhm,
So yeah, in circumstances like that, definitely,
mhm,
we've all had that struggle, and it's been a
mhm,
power struggle as well,
mhm,
with our mind versus our heart,
mhm,
and our mind puts us into fretful positions, very fretful positions that we have to consider circumstances constantly. Now, stepping inside and being within the heart space and that silence,
mhm,
um, you are able to negotiate that you've seen all of this before, you've experienced all of this before, so nothing is outside of the way that you can control the moment.
mhm,
And that you like your segues into that. I don't know if you're illustrating that, or
mhm,
it's just running so smoothly, because
mhm,
the consistency of change,
mhm,
you need to acknowledge that you are
mhm,
worthy of what you are about to do, and that is the toughest gig. That is the
mhm,
toughest gig, when you sit with yourself and you accept that you are stepping outside of the norm. And the norm
mhm,
is everything else outside of what you believe and what your
mhm,
truth is. So
mhm,
it's really daunting to
mhm,
self who's never had worthiness to
mhm,
acknowledge, I am worthy to receive this. Hell
mhm,
yeah. Because the
mhm,
mind is that contradiction. That mind will continually say to you, you've tried this before. Why are you doing it again? Don't you know the pain that you suffered last time?
mhm,
But you were only one increment away from actually making it true the last time you did it. But as cause and effect, we fall over, we do get up again, and we do the same principle in a
mhm,
consistent space of change.
mhm. Change isn't
Um,
difficult if you consider the change might help step out of the old pattern that doesn't serve and is
yeah,
good.
correct. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And yes, Colette, you're on song if that's Colette. Um,
Yes.
the 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 element of worthiness, as I was saying, is something that we need to nurture, because everyone is magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has lived a story and survived through that story. As harsh as it is to their story, that is
Mm-hmm.
okay, because it is their story and they are in the same space as you. So the
Mm-hmm.
considering of change, then you need to accept the very many people that are going to arrive under that same principle of change, because the universe led them to the same moment that they recognized that they were as worthy as you.
Mm-hmm. When we talk
And
about, as I said earlier, when we talk about change, change isn't something that always happens the way you want it. It could happen. It could happen either way. It could happen good. It could happen bad. But if you wanted the change the way you want it, So when we talk about when we going through the period of struggle, then it also you talk about acceptance and not accepting the change and not accepting what is not up to your caliber. So it provides you an opportunity while going through it is to re-strategize and replan different things over and over again, and that's how you become good at what you do. I don't know whether I'm making any sense or not, but
Oh, you are. You're
that's
making
what I
complete sense. You're
uh,
making
uh,
complete sense. And that is
that,
consistency because you've
mhm,
acknowledged the element of change. Now go
mhm,
further than that and say that there's 26 letters in the alphabet,
mhm,
in the English alphabet, and you're going
mhm,
off plan A. There's another 25 that you can consider. Yeah, as the journey keeps going and that whole purpose. And like right now,
mhm,
I'm we are creating a space that is the
mhm,
peace architects.
mhm,
Now, that is very broad because what we've found is the creator element within us. So there are artists, there are musicians, there are spoken word lyrics. Yeah, there is a beauty that is being collectively constructed that allows the person to step within their truest path. Because we can forget a lot of the stuff that's been attached to us over this lifetime because it serves us no purpose. And you speak about that change that we think and it won't arrive in that dynamic, or it fails to deliver in that dynamic. And that is exactly true because the moment that we feel something, the moment that we feel that it's unique to yourself, therefore you can experience it with so many other people because you give it the actual respect of how you found it. That wherever you arrive is going to
mhm,
be a consistent element of change because you are only considering the presence of you, not to affect anybody in a negative space.
mhm.
So when you're
Yes.
thinking about what you want to accomplish, you are putting yourself into dynamics that your heart hasn't validated yet. So therefore, there could be that failing of an opportunity because it wasn't assimilated to the very oneness of your design. You have allowed
Mhm,
the duality of the mind to create that outcome for you to then present within the heart space where it was created from.
mhm.
The mind
So
is the same, but hang on a
in
minute,
other
because the mind
mhm,
is the same culprit that is saying to you, oh, you can't do that. Remember the last time you failed.
mhm.
So I hope that makes sense in proportions to change,
in
consistency,
mhm.
and
You
the
are
respect of who is what.
you are designing your own future. In simple words, I can say you are designing your own destiny. You are the
Well, your
creator
own
of your own destiny.
story, your own
Yeah,
story,
creator of your own story. And
because
I
there's
think
7.8 billion stories going on, Ahsan.
yes, indeed. And there are other stories as well. And the people who were before us, they were their stories. And it is happening. It is consistent changes the consistent. And I think we have we have covered enough, and we have I've presented some of the examples from my own life and the period of 40 years of my struggle, because I don't want to talk about some stories of other people because it would become abstract. I should talk about what I have gone through, and that was my experience. And it should be more realistic and more connecting. And I think we have covered enough. And you are the creator of your own destiny. You are creator of your own story. And change is the only constant. And consistency is the key. And thank you, Adrian, for joining us, for your wonderful views and for your time. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comment box below. I'll answer it to you. Adrian will get back to you as soon as he can. And thank you. Have a good day, good night, good
Well,
afternoon,
I
wherever
just
you
wanted to
are.
say thank you, Hassan.
Mhm,
Another great
mhm,
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, with the 7.8 billion stories that are going on at this point in time, there is one word that everybody knows within that whole narrative, and that is love. And we need to speak about that more than we are, because the
Yes,
change of consistency is to
mhm.
validate that we are all loved,
Yes,
that we are all
uh,
loved, and then we can promote that very element consistently moving forward.
yes. The message of peace and love from me and from the peace architect. Architect. Thank you. Have a good day, good night, good
Thank
afternoon,
you.
wherever you are.
Ciao.
Yes.
Namaste.
Ta-ra.